I gave myself 72 hours to finish this painting. For some context as to why, this is my entry for the visual noise zine, which needs to be in by 5 p.m. on Saturday on the 28th, accounting for a time difference. To New York time, it is midnight on the 27th, which is a Friday. I started this painting on the 21st. I started this oil painting on the 21st, giving myself technically 5 days to get it done so that it can be dry enough to photograph well. Was that smart? Maybe not. But I needed something good, and the inspiration for this only came on like the Friday before I started it. I also wanted to finish it and use the painting process as a vlog for this video, so that's what I have done. Now I will keep it a surprise as to whether or not I have finished it until the end of this video. Yep, that's all I'm gonna say. And okay, so my painting process, session 1, day 1, started with a photo shoot. So this idea for this particular composition had been floating around in my head for quite a while, and I finally found the meat behind it with the colors and the background after a phone call with my mom, which I will be reading the full blurb that I've written that I will be submitting for my entry as well, to kind of go into more of that. Having this in mind now and finally having a color palette and everything, I asked Jake to help me take some reference photos, which we did, and then I edited them down and got them ready for my final reference, just to fix some of the lighting and color imbalances that I had, and to figure out a more solid background because there's a bit going on in the background of the actual photo. And then the next day I took my new sense of inspiration, my reference, and my motivation because of this time crunch downstairs to paint. I started with an acrylic underpainting just to seal the panel because I couldn't be bothered with gesso and to tone the canvas correctly for the background. So I did start with that kind of darker brown to pink gradient at first. After that layer dried in like 2 minutes, I mapped out a loose grid and put down the figure and just loose forms and values. I kind of combined methods for the whole grid thing. So usually I take a photo of the painting and I overlay it with a photo, and I I swap the layers so that I can see any differences between my painting and the actual photo, so that it's just a bit more accurate to the reference. But for this one, I also traced over my original image, which I saw someone on Instagram do. If I can find it, I'll link their page, but I'm not sure what their profile was. Anyway, I saw someone do this and I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So I got out my acrylic paint markers and I took my reference, I traced over it on my iPad and used that to overlay it with my original underpainting. That way I could see in reference to what I had painted to what I need to be drawing on now, if that makes sense. I just did that a few times with a few different colors so that I could get a gauge for where my final lines would need to be. That just allowed for a slightly more accurate underpainting and just made things easier in the later phases, so I didn't have to worry about tweaking as much once I had already started my oils, especially because this painting was on such a time crunch. I just didn't need that extra stress of having to go back and change things. And after this, I took a little break. I say a little break. I took a break for the day. It was the end of the day. Everyone was coming home. Jake and his mom had both gotten home, so I was just catching up with everyone. And then Jake and I went to the chemist and bought some hair dye, and I dyed my hair. First, we bleached it, so I had some old color. I don't know if it was ever really caught on video, but it was like a blue-black color. I think it faded pretty quickly because chlorinated pool in Australia. After that, I let it dry, and you can kind of see it here. It's kind of basically just my natural color on camera. In real life, it was a bit lighter, but it does just look like my natural hair color on camera. And then we dyed it this gorgeous pink color. It's like this deep, almost purpley red pink. And I did a little bit of Jake's hair too, which was quite fun. I can't believe he let me do it. First, I asked him to bleach it and do frosted tips, and then I asked him if I could do the color, and he agreed to that. Okay, anyway, on to day 2. So it's currently 2:15 in the afternoon, and we're going out for dinner tonight, which we have to be there at 6. And I'm not sure how long we're gonna be there because it's at a friend's place, so we're doing dinner and board games, I think, after. So it's probably gonna take a few hours at least, which gives me probably around 3 hours now to work on this painting. It's not much. I woke up late. I woke up at like 11 and we had lunch. We went for a little beach walk. Oh, actually, I found this piece of sea glass. I don't know if you can really see the pattern on it. I have no idea what it's from, but I saw it and I was like, that's so cool. So yeah. Anyway, I do actually need to clean up my studio. I don't know. I don't think you can see much from the angle I have you at right now, but it is quite messy. But I think I'll do that after the painting. So I'm just gonna do like quick remove everything out of the way and then I will clean up after. Yeah, the only thing I really scheduled myself in for today was dinner and painting. Also, do you like my new hair? It's literally the coolest hair ever. I love it so much. I'm so excited for it. I love it. I love it. Oh yeah, and yesterday I forgot that I was doing the underpaintings in acrylic and I was treating it like it was oils. So I just left my paintbrush without cleaning it because I forgot that I would need to. And now it's like this. I can't. Yeah, so this is going in the bin. So as I'm painting here, you can see that I'm starting with the basic layers first. I try to put down my darkest colors everywhere, first starting with the jeans and then the shirt and the skin and the socks, before going in with some lighter and mid-tones. To be honest, at this point, I think I took the shirt too light and I feel like everything was still just a little bit off. So I do go back over in another pass later to fix that. And then I did my background in oils, which was so much easier than the acrylics. Everything was blending nicely. Everything was just a little bit thinner, which is easier to work with in my opinion. Yeah, because the acrylics dried in like 2 seconds when I was trying to blend them, which is just ridiculous because I didn't want to add too much water so that the panel would expand. Anyway, doesn't matter. And then I don't know if you can tell, but my studio was an absolute mess. So you know what? I knew messy space, messy mind. So I had to clean it. Like I mentioned, we were going out for dinner. I just wanted a clean slate for my next session. Now, day 3, Monday, I woke up feeling absolutely awful. I had a headache. I just had all my flu symptoms come back way worse than they had been for the past few days. And I was so incredibly tired. But I figured, you know what? Let's just get up. Let's go out. Let's do something. And maybe I'll start to feel better. So we went out. Our gym got closed with 0 notice. We got maybe 2 hours notice of our gym closing. We had a look at another gym. Jake signed up for it. I haven't yet because I don't know if I want to pay for it at this point because I haven't been going that much. And then we decided that I would do a driving lesson, which this driving lesson, oh my gosh, I was so stressed. A lot of adrenaline, a lot of not wanting to do it and just feeling very, very nervous. You know, I did the driving lesson. As I said, I feel like my body was just pumping with adrenaline. And then we went to countdown after. I felt like I could barely keep my eyes open. I was yawning so much. I was so tired. And the second we got home, and I just passed out. I was knocked out for like a few hours at that point because I wasn't feeling well. And then being like stressed and coming down from that and just my body being like, nah, you're asleep now. And then I woke up, we made dinner, we ate dinner, and then I did not feel like awake enough. I just felt really groggy and really tired. So I didn't want to go downstairs and have to sit in front of a canvas and paint. So I had another look at the digital version of what I wanted with this painting and kind of just reworked it from that because I kind of knew that I felt the background was too dark and I wanted to change that. I just wasn't totally sure how yet, and I'm still, okay, spoilers, I haven't finished yet and I'm still not totally sure what I'm gonna be doing. And then after that I passed out again. Riveting day. It's sleep, sleep, sleep. That was it. Okay. So, not a very productive day yesterday. And today is my last day to work on this, and I have about 7 hours. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do a main like wash on the background now. That way I can come back to it in a few hours and it should hopefully be dry enough to do the lettering. Yeah, I'm just really hoping I can get this done in time. Yeah, so plan is I'm gonna work on this for hours and hours and hours and hours. I think I need to stop thinking about it and I need to just go. So I'm gonna do exactly that. We're just gonna start. The yellow is looking a lot more green on camera here, but it was quite a bit warmer in person. But even with that, the blending was just killing me. Honestly, I think things were just too thick, and I think I could have thinned things out a lot because my oil layer underneath this was basically non-existent with how thin it was. So I could have been a lot more lenient with myself here, but I just wasn't. I don't know why. I did end up shooting myself in the foot because of it. And then the second pass here is looking better, but I was getting really nervous about that thickness and about drying times just because I needed to do the lettering preferably the same day, which, spoilers, didn't happen because it wasn't dry yet. So that's my own fault. Obviously, I was not really feeling this, so I just had to move on. So here is where I start working on the face, really trying just to get the colors and silhouette right because I was struggling with that so much for some reason. Then I started moving on to the arms and other skin toned areas, making sure just to get my darkest values down. And it doesn't look good yet, but I promise it does get better later. At this point, I was still kind of in the trust the process phase before I got to, feeling like things are actually flowing and looking good. Moving on to the clothing and painting the darkest values. Starting with the shirt, still at this point I was so unconfident and I feel like that really shows in my brushstrokes. I just didn't know where I wanted things to be. I think I was trying quite hard to get things right the first time, but I just wasn't. So again, I was just quite literally trusting the process and hoping that things would just click somehow and get better. I did start to feel like the darker tones were bringing things together, but it was still feeling so ugly and I was really full of self-doubt at this point, just about getting it finished, about it looking good, about it being good enough for what I wanted it for, about my message being clear enough. And I think once I get those final elements that I want in the painting together, it will have those things, but just because they aren't there yet, it really made me feel unsure. The inspiration for this piece came from getting off a phone call with my mom. I've had this feeling floating around for a while and I've struggled to put it into words or images until this idea came to me. My family lives in different countries. I'm in New Zealand and my direct family is in Australia, and most of the rest of them are in South Africa. Sitting on the phone has been a huge part of my life for my whole life. Celebrations through phone calls, texts, social media, more recently Zoom funerals. I would have no connection without it. And I feel especially Gen Z and maybe a little bit of Gen Alpha, where our developmental years were spent in lockdown, in a pandemic, where our technology was the only out for being social. And I wanted to express that feeling. I think anyone can look at this painting and understand it and put themselves in it. The hours of waiting to know if someone is okay, the 10 minutes ducked out of a social gathering to catch up with someone in another time zone, years of relationships unraveling in the face of distance. It's a familiar feeling and a universal sign of love. You're worth my time and my voice. You're worth my love. Universal love captures a moment in time, a bright light in a dark time. I've had this composition idea floating around for a while, sitting in a dark room on the phone, a relaxed pose in uncomfortable surroundings, hard floors, hard walls. The figure's face lit purely from said phone. For weeks, I had a skeleton of an idea with no meat on its bones, until I started calling my family a bit more often. Topics of love, relationships, politics, video games, art, safety, fear, all coming to the surface. I started thinking about the conversations my boyfriend has with his dad overseas, conversations I've had with my friends from all around the world and that are currently all over the world, and the differences between everyone who's online and using their phone and what they're using their phone calls for. I wanted this piece to capture the feeling of being so isolated yet able to talk to anyone anywhere, the universal feeling of togetherness while being so far apart, the universal signal of love and effort as we spend hours of our days glued to our phones just to be able to talk to one another. I just want anyone to be able to look at this and see themselves in it, to see the love we pour out to each other in an act of connection. Now, finally, we're adding some more background elements, and I was feeling so much better. The icing on the cake was the shirt pattern. Things were just coming together, and I finally started to feel better, and like I was feeling more of a flow in my painting. This original recording from just this session alone was 2.5 hours long, and I didn't feel that at all. I was just going and going and going. And after moving past this shirt area and the background of the shirt and everything, feeling a lot better about my painting abilities, the jeans were just jeans, so they were so easy to paint, and I knew what I was doing. The paint was doing what I was expecting it to do. And once I'd put the highlights and the seam in, I felt so much better about the overall look about this painting. Now, these socks are such a small part, but I really enjoyed creating the creases and the light over the ankles. I feel like they were so easy and they took so few brush strokes, but they really, they looked good, in my opinion. I felt really good about them, and I still think they look pretty good. And then I put the flooring in, making sure to keep the deeper browns that I wanted, even though it wasn't in the picture, so it was a little bit harder to edit in there. And making sure to keep the shading details, and then putting the final colors of the wall behind me in. I just felt like it really brought the painting together, and it gave me a lot more perspective on the color of the actual background wall. Now, keep in mind that the color of the background right now is going to be the color of the text, so I will be putting in a darker lining if, that is actually what I want the look of this painting to be. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Now, after feeling a lot better about my skills and giving these skin tones time to dry, I did revisit them just to give them a bit more depth. I felt that the hands were quite flat, so I really needed to push my darker values and figure out how to show the subtle depth of the skin. I almost forgot about the phone itself. Obviously, I probably wouldn't have forgotten about it in the painting, but thinking back on it, I feel like I almost did forget about it. To be honest, I hope it's clear that the color and the light is coming from the phone, because at the moment I feel like the face is too dark to see that, but if I go lighter, it's gonna end up just being very pink and very white, which I don't know, maybe it's because of the color I chose and the fact that it's in a photo and on a digital screen that just makes it really hard to get that in real life. But I am going to try my best, and hopefully that comes across on camera. I don't know, maybe I should go back and make it brighter, we'll see. And then, because of course it did, my phone did die. And then, as I mentioned, I think I was feeling a little bit funny about how the face is looking, so I did go back and rework it a little bit, but I'm not sure if it did much at this point. Now, for the things I didn't film, whether it was because of storage, my phone dying, or just me forgetting to, I did end up scraping the background, still keeping an even tone, just to, bring down the thickness of it, because I was so sure it wasn't gonna dry. And you know what? I definitely was right. It would not have dried. It's barely dry now, and I've had a fan pointed at it all night. I did add some extra highlights in the shirt, and I added some extra texture and lines in the shirt as well, just to mimic the real shirt and the photo a bit better. I did try to add some texture in the jeans, but I didn't end up liking the way it looked, so I just smoothed everything over again and left it as you can see it now. Pretty much just the same as it was before. Now, day 5, here we are, Wednesday. Post day for YouTube, and really crunch time for this painting. I feel like I'm not totally sure how I want it to look yet, which is a pretty big problem, but I'm just gonna do it. I'm just going to hope that it turns out well. The only thing that is kind of annoying still about me putting it off for this long, I guess, is the fact that I won't be able to varnish it. So the colors just aren't gonna look as good as they could. But I'm hoping that if I am chosen to be part of this scene, which would be crazy, because there are a lot of really great artists that are submitting to this. But anyway, if I am chosen to be part of this, that I will get to do some better photographs down the line, and that by then maybe I can varnish it and it will look great.